So I definitely had a lot to face in Pittsburgh that I just really didn't want to, messes from before my addiction hit the fan, but then everything too from after. But yeah, there's a lot of like legalities in my story. I got in trouble a lot. I think a big one is that I talk about online a lot is my dad pressing felony charges on me. I think he just, and I hate to speak for him because I think he just didn't know what else to do.
Yeah.
But I also think that he was in a place of like, I'd rather see her in jail than dead,
For sure.
And I always say this, I give him so much credit for what he did because as a parent, I don't know how. Like, I can't even fathom because I'd like to believe I wouldn't enable my kid, but you don't know.
Totally.
Oh my God, you don't know. And my mom, who I don't think I give her enough credit because I don't think she ever could have done what he did, and she knew that, so she stepped back and she did nothing. She didn't intervene what he was doing. She didn't try to stop him. It hurt her, and she didn't want to see those things happen to me, but she knew that the best thing was just to stay out of it and let him do what he was doing, and I definitely don't give her enough credit for that, as I should, because that had to be just as hard,
For sure.
I feel like you just did right now, though.
Yeah, exactly. And
right
she deserves it. She really does. My God. All those times in courtrooms where she would just sit in the back, like unable to even like speak because of the tears. And yeah, it was intense there for a while, but that's what got me sober. Those charges. I mean, that's what did it for me. It was just that ending, I don't want to go to jail. I'm actually scared. That was the first time that I was actually scared. It wasn't about a boyfriend. It wasn't about being in California. Like, I was stuck in Pittsburgh, and my Charlie, who passed, who I briefly mentioned, who I was really, really close with, he was a marketing director out here for treatment, and he would always get me my flights. I'd, call him when shit would hit the fan, and he'd happily get me back out here. He'd put me up in treatment, whatever. So when my dad pressed these charges, I immediately called him, like, you got to get me out of here. It's bad. Like, this is the worst one yet. And he was like, no. And for the first time ever, he said no. And I'll never forget screaming on the phone and just telling him I hated him. I was so hurt. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, you have a girl out there. I'm like, everything I can think of to just blame him. And now, of course, and thank God I got sober before he passed. Like, so we had a good relationship, like long distance, but we talked a lot. But yeah, I felt really bad when things kind of crumbled for him with the treatment center he was working for. I think he lost a lot of his purpose and things went downhill fast. And so that next time I came out here was to bury him, which I never thought that, because I didn't leave on the best terms. I just dipped and didn't say bye to him. We were in a real bad fight. And I never got to see him again. I have a lot of regrets in that way. I think that's just life. You learn.
Yeah.
Because oh my God, if I would have had any idea that that's how things would end for him, I never would have left the way. So, I give him so much credit because I don't know if I'd be here if it weren't for him. And like even today, again, like I literally, I was vlogging and I was driving around a little bit this morning in San Juan, and I had tears in my eyes. I'm like passing the stables where we would do like therapy and group, and I'm like, if he saw me right now, it's just crazy, and I know he does see me right now, and I know that he's like not even the slightest bit surprised. I am, but I know he's not. It's crazy how, I don't know how I necessarily feel about this statement, but how they say like some of us have to die so that some of us can live, and just kind of tell those stories and get sober and stay sober and carry the message, especially for the ones that we lost. It's just so true. And I don't know, I just feel like it's getting worse, out there. So this is all just so important,
for sure,
conversation.
And I agree, like you being able to keep him living on.
Exactly.
Because he's not here.
Exactly.
And because it also carries a lot of weight for like, say, for myself. So I never got to meet this person that means so much to you. However, I know what it truly means if you do this program and if you don't, because you don't have a friend now.
Exactly.
It's like, that's the severity of where we live at, is that it's life and death.
Yeah.
It's so much more than a light conversation, because just off of the little bits of pieces of your story, you were running and gunning for quite some time before you finally were like, okay, I'm done. I'm trying to get this thing. Yeah. And like you talking about your parents, I think maybe the older that we get, and I don't have children, but I have a lot of nieces and nephews. Okay. And I couldn't imagine being a parent, because I would assume, especially amongst 3 others that have children, a parent wants to do nothing but fix their kid.
Yep.
And go to any lengths for them.
Exactly.
Whatever that looks like. Most. The majority, usually.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
So I feel like that's tough. But the beautiful thing is they now get this.
Yeah. Well, and you know what I say too is like and this isn't, a dig at any other type of parenting, but I have to say I'm so grateful that my parents had standards for me. Sure. In the way of, and listen, when people enable, it's out of love. There's no ill intent there. I get it.